let me tell you a few words about Alan Wake's American Nightmare. So it's a standalone, it's a spin-off experience, which what I think is really cool that anybody can pick up and play, even if they've never played Wake before. But for the fans out there, and I know there's a lot of fans in Brazil, there's a huge amount of optional story content there that connects the dots to the first game, takes the story and the fiction and the universe of Alan Wake forward. Well, maybe I'll tell you a few words about the backstory. So early on in his career, our hero Wake, who's a writer of course, had written several episodes of this show Night Springs. If you remember the in-game TV show from the first game, Night Springs, which had its Twilight Zone feel to it, you're playing an episode of Night Springs and it's written by Alan Wake himself. So there right away you've got the connection to the first game. Now Wake has learned a lot since we last saw him. So he's learned to use fiction to his advantage, and that's what we're faced with here as well. And he's also learned to rewrite reality with his texts, which is a kind of story puzzle in the game where you match the events described on a paper to the events on a scene to rewrite reality. Wake is following his evil double, Mr. Scratch, whose darkness that's shaped in Wake's image. After the first game, as the story's been told in Bright Falls by the locals about Alan Wake, a rock star writer that had brutally murdered his wife in a cabin. We know that didn't happen, but the urban legend was born. And in Wake's world, fiction can come real, and an urban legend has been born. A supernatural serial killer that wears the face of Alan Wake, wants to do horrible things to Wake's wife Alice, and Wake's trying to stop her. Well, in Wake's world, in the universe of Wake, we know that fiction can come real. It's all part of the story. It's all part of, Alan Wake, that the possibility of any fiction coming real is possible. So we can talk about urban legends, we can talk about stories that have been told, and those things actually coming true. And it's happening now with Mr. Scratch. He's an urban legend come real. With Alan Wake 1, we wanted to do a psychological action thriller. And with that, of course, we wanted to kind of control the pacing very much and deliver this kind of thriller feeling and vibe to the game. Now, this is a little bit different. So we've also implemented a different style in the level design. So we've got a hub level approach where you revisit key locations, but you experience them in a different flow. But there's a different feeling to this game as well. This is made for the medium, it's made for Xbox Live Arcade, so there's a lot more action here as well. So as if the first game was kind of 2/3 story and 1/3 action, this is a flip on that, so it's more action and a little bit less story. And the story that is there is a lot more pulp fiction. From a high level, this is a pulp action adventure. And in addition to the story mode, then we have this arcade action mode with tons of new enemies and new weapons and a lot more variation than what people were looking for after the first game. Alan Wake was in development for about 5 years. You have to understand that we built all the technology, we built all the tools from the ground up, all the special lighting just to get that emotion right in Alan Wake. So with Alan Wake's American Nightmare, it's a reiteration of the engine. It's gone further, but as it's our engine, that's a lot easier to do. We had a lot of things already in place, so it's much quicker as well to do it, as we weren't building all the technology from the ground up for this. Alan Wake's American Nightmare is going to be available next month. It's part of the House Party campaign. Really excited for the Brazilian Alan Wake fans out there to get your hands on this, and I hope you enjoy it.